This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the permission sets, and we have discussed what exactly a permission set, what is the use, why should we go for the permission sets, we have discussed. So basically, permission set is nothing but a feature or a component which is used to grant a set of permissions to one or more users inside the organization. In order to grant some permissions to the users, we are using permission sets. Then you can raise a question, sir, already we have profiles. Through profiles, we are granting the permissions to the users. Then why should we go for permission sets? Because whenever I'm going to be granting the permissions through the profile, so whatever the permissions I have granted in the profile level, same permissions will be applicable to all the users under the profile. Okay, under that profile, whatever the users are there, for every user, same permissions will be getting applicable. But in some cases, I want to assign some additional permissions to one or more users. Okay, but in some cases, I want to grant some additional permissions to one or more users, then we can use the help of permission sets. So in this case, what happened? Inside that profile, whatever the permissions we have granted, we can extend those permissions with the help of permission sets. Okay, we can grant the profile, we can able to grant some additional permissions than profile, because already profile is granting some permissions, and through profile permission set we can grant some additional. That means we can override the profile with the help of permission sets. That facility is available as part of permission sets. Now, here let me explain one more point over here. So in this case, you can raise the question, sir, what kind of permissions we can grant through permission sets? Through permission sets, we can grant the similar kind of permissions like as profile. Okay, through profile, whatever the permissions we are granting, the similar kind of permissions we can able to grant through permission sets also, except the two permissions. Except the two permissions, one is login hours, second one login IP ranges. Except the login hours and the login IP ranges, whatever the additional permissions are there inside the profile, same permissions you can grant through permission sets also. That possibility is available to you over there. Okay. Now, in this case, let me give the note points over here so that they can understand more. Permissions set is a feature which is used to grant a set of permissions to one or more users inside the organization. Inside the organization, we can grant one or more permissions, okay, through with the help of these permission sets to multiple users. Now, in this case, through permission sets, we can grant the same permissions like profile, except login IP ranges and login hours. Okay, except these two permissions. Inside the profile level, we can grant so many permissions, including login IP ranges and login hours. But these two permissions can't be possible through permission set, and except these two remaining, all are possible, like Azure profile. Okay, now in this case, by using this permission set, what we can do, whatever the permissions I have assigned to the users through profile, those permissions we can extend. Okay, we can extend those permissions with the help of permission sets. Now, by using permission set, we can extend the profile level permissions. Profile level permission. That means here profile is restricting that, and then permission set will override the profile. It will grant some additional permissions over there. That possibility is available as part of permission sets. Then where all the permission sets will be getting stored? We can create multiple permission sets also inside an organization, and then we can assign multiple permission sets also to the users. For each user, we can assign multiple permission sets also. That possibility is available. Now, we can assign one or more permission sets to a user. We can assign one or more permission sets to a user. We can assign one or more permission sets to a user. Now, so in this case, so one user can have multiple permission set, and then one permission set can be assigned to multiple user also. One permission set can be assigned to multiple users, because the same permissions I need to grant to the another user also. Then at that time, same permission set we can assign. That possibility is there. That means what? User to permission set one to many. One user can have multiple permission sets, and one permission set can assign to multiple users, one to many from both the sides. So we are having the many to many association between user and the permission set object with the help of a junction object called as permission set assignment. Okay, now, so let me give the point. All the permission sets information will get resides inside the permission set object. All the permission sets information will get resides inside the permission set object over here. Then how can we create the permission set? Where is that navigation is available? Let me give you the navigation. So let's go to the setup menu. Go to the administrator menu in the left panel. Go to the manage users, and then we can go to the permission sets. And from there you can create your own permission set, and then we can assign the permission sets also. That means what? Whenever if you want to assign the permission set, we have to follow two steps. First of all, create a permission set by granting the required permissions on the features. By granting the required permissions on the features, and then as a step 2, assign the permission set to the required users. To whomever you want, we can able to assign that permission set also. These are the two steps we need to follow whenever if you want to create the permission sets and assigning the permission sets to the users. We have to follow these two options. Okay, so these are the two steps we have to follow. Now tell me what is your question. Manideep, tell me what is your question.
So other than like restricting or extending the permissions, we can create another profile, no sir?
That will be lengthy, right? The number of profiles are keep on increasing, right?
Okay.
Okay, the number of profiles are keep on increasing. Suppose, for example, let me tell you. Assume that here. So here what we are doing here, I'm going to be having a profile, and then this profile have assigned to the 3 users. 3 users are having the access to the same profile. So on the account object, I have granted read and the create permission, so that here all the 3 people will be getting that same permissions on this account object. So all the 3 users, okay, user 1, user 2, user 3, these 3 people will be getting the same permissions on the profile, on this account object. Suppose for the user 3, I want to grant edit permission and delete permission also. Then in this case, what will happen? Two scenarios will come into the picture. One thing, okay, just now Manideep has explained that, sir, instead of creating a permission set, I want to create, okay, another profile. I want to create another profile. Then what we need to do in this case? So in this case, what needs to be done? We have to create another profile over here. Here we need to grant all the permissions, whatever you want on this account object here. Now, so now we are going to be granting the permissions on this account object over here. On this account object, I would like to grant create, read, edit, and the delete permissions. These four permissions I am granting over here: edit permission and the delete permission. Now, this profile, this user, okay, whatever the user is available, this user I would like to map with this profile over here. As per the Manideep's request, I'm going to mapping this information. Okay, I would like to have another profile over here. In this profile, I'm granting the edit permission and the delete permission on the account object, and then I'm going to be making this user separate. That means I'm assigning this user to that profiles, to second profile over there. Suppose after some time, I want to grant, okay, I want to grant a different permission to all these users. What we need to do? We have to grant the permissions on this profile also. We have to grant in this profile also. That means number of profiles are keep on increasing upon managing. Okay, number of profiles are keep on increasing. Now, sometimes you can raise a question. Sir, I have the user 2. Okay, I have the user 2. For the user 2, I want to grant edit permission also. Then what needs to be done? Okay, as per his request, I'm going to be creating one more profile over here. I'm creating another profile over here. I'm creating another profile. So inside this profile, I'm going to be granting the permissions on this account object with create, read, and the edit. These three permissions I'm granting over here. And then this user 2, okay, I'm mapping with this. Okay, this user 2, I'm mapping with this particular profile. User 2, I'm mapping with this particular user. Now, in this case, the number of profiles are keep on increasing, right? Okay, for the read and create, a separate profile. Read, create, edit, separate profile. Read, create, edit, delete, a separate profile. In this case, number of profiles are keep on increasing, right? So it will make your application complex. Okay, it will make your application complex. So for that reason here, what I want to do is, okay, what I want to do is, in this case, instead of doing all these things, okay, instead of doing all these things, what I want to do is simply I would like to create a permission set. Simply, I would like to create a permission set. So this is the permission set I would like to create over here. I would like to create a permission set. So this is the permission set I would like to create. In this permission set, I'm going to be granting the access. Okay, I'm going to be granting the access on this account object. On this account object, I'm granting the permission. What permission? Edit and the delete permission. So now once the profile is ready, then we can assign, once the permission set is ready, then you can assign this permission set. To whom you want to assign? I want to assign to that user 3. So we can able to assign that. Okay, we can able to assign to that particular user. Suppose after some time, my client said that please grant the same permission to user 1 also. Then what we can do, simply I will go to the permission set. I would like to assign that same permission set to the user 1 also. So what happened here? So now we can assign the same permission set to the multiple users also. Suppose, for example, in future, so now that my client said that, so for the user 2, I want to grant edit permission also. Then what we can do, in this case, I would like to create one more permission set. Okay, I would like to create one more permission set over here. I'm creating another permission set over here. In this one, I'm going to be granting simply edit permission on this particular account object. And then this permission set, I would like to assign to whom? To the user 2. Okay, for the user 2, I'm going to be assigning this permission set. So this user will be having only, okay, edit permission. That means what? Profile is only one. Okay, profile is only one. That means what here? What we need to do? Whatever the common permissions you want to grant, whatever the basic level of permissions you want, you can grant through profile, and additional permissions you can grant through permission sets. Okay, observe the scenario. All the users are belongs to the same profile, but additionally, each and every user is having some different permissions. User 1 and the user 3 is having edit and delete permission, and the user 2 will be having the edit permission also. Okay, now, so that possibility is available over here. Okay, that possibility is available. Depends upon your application requirement. Okay, now, so now getting this case. In this case, whenever we are going to be creating the users, okay, whenever I'm creating the users, profile is a mandatory one, but permission set not mandatory. Permission set is optional. Once the users have been created later on, depends upon your application requirement, we can assign the permission sets. That to how many multiple permission sets we can assign to the user. Then how many profiles we can assign to a user? Only one. A user can have only one profile, only one license, only one role. But a user can have multiple permission sets also. This is the concept over here as part of permission set. So whenever we are going to be creating the users, upon granting the permissions, whatever the basic permissions or common permissions are there for all the profile users, grant inside the profile level. Whatever the additional permissions you want to grant to some specific users, then go with that permission set. So through permission sets, we can grant additional permissions to the required users also. That possibility is available here. Okay.
Yeah.
So for that reason, we are using the help of permission sets.
Can we restrict any permissions like?
No. See, that's what here. Whenever we are going with that security concept in Salesforce, we have the possibility to keep on extend, but there is no possibility to decrease that. Okay, there is no possibility to decrease. Okay, keep on, we can able to extend. Initially, we can grant in that the OWD level, and then we can use sharing feature, and then profile, and then permissions. Keep on to extend, but we can't restrict over there. So that's what here, upon granting the permissions, okay, in the profile level, grant very basic level permissions. Grant very basic level of permissions inside the profile level, and then keep on, we can make it extend, okay, with the help of permissions. Okay.
Yes.
Now, suppose after some time, if the user asks me to, okay, remove this edit permission, the delete permission for this user, simply I will go to that permission user, I will remove this permission set over here. That's it. Simple. I will remove the permission set. Suppose if I'm granting this permission inside a profile level, it will be a problem for me. Okay, it will be a problem for me here. That's what here, additional permissions you can able to grant it through, okay, the permission sets. Okay, that's what here in the entry point of view also, if they ask the question, I want to grant some additional permissions to the user, then straightforward ask the question to them. Okay, make a reverse question. Boss, you want to grant that permission to all the users inside the profile or to a specific user inside the profile? Ask them clearly. Then they will tell you, I want to grant it through all the users. Then you can grant inside the profile level. If they said, I want to grant to a specific user, then you can go with that permission set. Okay. In this case, how can we grant this permission sets? Now let's see practically in this case. How to create the permission set, and then how can we assign the permission sets to the users? Now let's see practically. Now, for example, so let me go to that. For example, I'm having this profile. Go to the users. Development user is available over here. Let me go to the profile. In his profile, on the account object, what kind of permissions I have granted? Let me verify. On the account object, I have granted the permissions like as account read, create, edit, and the delete. Okay, these are the permissions I have granted. Now, the next one. For example, let's go to that platform profile users. Go to that users. So now these are the manager user, testing user, customer user. All these people are belongs to that same profile over here. Okay, CIS platform profile. CIS platform profile. So this is the profile, okay, through which I have granted the permissions over here. Now, so let me verify what kind of permissions I have granted. So here I am granting that only, okay, read and create permissions on my account object. So now on my account object, I'm granting only read and create permission, no edit, no delete permissions. Okay, now, so let's save it. This profile has been assigned to whom? To the 3 users. Who are all those users? Then you can go to that, click on view users. These are the 3 users: customer user, manager user, testing user. For these 3 people, I have assigned this same profile over there. Okay, for these 3 users, I have assigned this same profile. Okay, for these 3 users, I have assigned same profile. Let me verify that. Click on login. Login into the customer user. Go to the account. They can able to create the new record. I'm creating a new record. Sample test. So now we need to enter the data. Industry, I'm selecting like some healthcare. Annual revenue, some value. Phone number, some value. Active status. Now my record has been created. So now here, after creating the record, now tell me, can I modify this one? No, because no edit button, no delete button also. Okay, even though I am the owner of this record, even though the customer user will be the owner of this record, he can't modify, he can't delete. Like as our bank transaction, we can perform the bank transaction, but we can't modify, we can't delete the transaction entries. Now, like the similar way, this is the customer user, he is having only read and create. Like the similar way, let's go to that manager user. Go to the account object, click on new, manager user account. I'm selecting the industry, annual revenue value, rating, phone number, active status. I'm saving this record. He is also having the same permission because this user is also belongs to the same profile. Let me check with that another user also, the 3rd user. Log in into the testing user now. Go to the accounts. Click on new button. Now the testing user record. Testing user account. I'm selecting the type as some customer direct, industry some education, annual revenue some value, rating some warm, phone number I'm indicating some value, active status some yes. Now this user also having the same permission because all these 3 people are belongs to the same profile. So whatever the permissions I have granted inside the profile level, same permissions are applied to all these 3 users. Now all the 3 users are having same read permission, create permission inside this account object. They can't modify, they can't. Now my requirement is from these 3 users, okay, from these 3 users, for the manager user, I want to grant edit permission and the delete permission also. Okay, for the manager user, especially for the manager user, I want to grant edit permission and the delete permission. How can we do this? Now let's see practically in this case. Okay, now let's see how can we create a permission set. Let's go with the users. Create a permission set to grant the edit and delete permissions and the account object to the manager user. To the manager user, I want to grant edit permission and the delete permission, not the other permissions. Only edit and delete permissions I would like to grant to the manager user on this account object. Then how can we do that? So now let me create the permission set first. Once the permission set has been created successfully, then we need to assign that permission set to the required users. Okay, once the permission set has been created successfully, then we have to assign that permission set to the required users. Then how can we do that? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, so let me go with the permission set creation. Now, so let's go to that manage users. Here we have an option called as permission sets. Okay, we have an option called as permission sets. So what is this permission sets option? This option is used to create the permission sets inside your organization. Inside the organization, we can create the permission sets also by using this option. So click on permission sets. Click on permission set. Click on new button to create a new permission set. So click on new button to create a new permission set. Now I'm going to be indicating that. Now I'm indicating manager user grant edit and delete permission on account object. Manager user or whatever you want here. Okay, to any user we can assign, no problem. Grant edit and delete permission on account object. I'm giving the description also same. Now click on save button. Permission set will be created, and then we need to specify what permissions you want to grant to this permission set. You can grant the permissions here. What you want to grant: application level, connected apps permission, object permission, field permission, application permissions, Apex classes, Visualforce pages, external data sources, flows, named credentials, custom permissions, metadata, custom settings, system permissions, everything we can able to grant except login hours and login IP address. It's a common question. They will raise a common question in the entry point of view: what permissions can't be possible through permission set? Through permission sets, two permissions are not possible. First one is login hours, second one login IP ranges. Okay, through permission set, we can't grant login hours and login IP ranges permissions to the through permission set, but through profile set is possible over there. Now, so what I need to grant the permissions now? I want to grant edit permission and delete permission on account object. So these are the object level permissions. So let's go to that object settings. Go to that object settings. Click on this object settings. Now select the object on what object you would like to grant the permission. On what object you would like to grant the permission. Account object. So click on account. What you want to do on this account object, what kind of permissions you would like to grant. We can specify that. Here it is indicating object level permission, and the field level permissions also we can grant through permission sets. Through permission sets, we can grant the permissions on fields also. Now what you want to grant? I want to grant that object level permission. So click on edit button. What permissions you would like to grant? Edit and delete permissions. I'm granting this edit and delete permissions also. Okay. On this particular account object, I'm granting edit permission and delete permissions. Now click on save. Like that, if you want to grant any other permissions on any other object, then select that object, grant the permissions on that object also. Like just you can go to that objects over here. Okay, select the object on what you want to grant the permission. You can select that objects also. We can do that operations as well. Like for example, I want to grant access on hiring manager object also for this manager user. I'm this hiring manager object. What kind of permission? Click on edit. I want to grant all the permissions. Visible. Okay. Now I want to grant read, create. Okay. He can able to create the hiring manager records. He can able to see the hiring manager records also. Okay. Now click answer. That means I have granted the permissions on two objects. One is an account, second one is a hiring manager. On account, edit and delete, on hiring manager, create and read. Like that, here multiple permissions you can group inside a single permission set. In a single permission set, we can able to group the multiple permissions also. That possibility is available. Now my permission set is ready. Okay, once the permission set is ready, then we can able to assign the permission set to the user. When you go to the permission set, it is indicating that this is the permission set which we have created. Grant, edit, and delete permission on account object. This is the permission set which we have created over here. Suppose in future, if this permission set is not required, then we can delete this permission set also. We have the option called as delete. Okay. So now once the permission set is ready, we have to assign the permission set to the user. How can we do that? Simply go to that users. To which user you want to assign this permission set? To the manager user. So go to that manager user. Go to this manager user. Click on this manager user name. That means open that manager user record. When you come down, you will be having a section called as permission set assignment. Okay, permission set assignment. There is a section is available over here. There is a section is available permission set assignments. Go to this permission set assignments. Click on edit assignment button. Then grant whatever the permission set you want. I want to grant the permission set that is called as grant, edit, and delete permissions on account object. This is the permission. Select that, add it. This is the permission set I want to assign to this user. Okay, for this manager user, I am going to be assigning this additional permission over here. Now click on save. That's it. Over. Okay, that's it. Over. Done. When you come down, you can see that for this user, one additional permission set has been assigned over here. This is the permission set has been assigned to this particular user. Now, so let's go to that. Now, when you go to that user, test this user. So let's go to that manager user. Let's see, when you go to the account object, whatever the account records he is having, that he can able to see. He is having edit button, delete button also. He can click on edit, he can modify that values also. He can change it. But other users inside the same profile, like as testing user and the customer user, they can't modify, they can't delete. When you go to that testing user account, open that record, just is having only read and create. That's it. They can't modify, they can't delete. Because whatever the user to whom we have assigned this permission set, only that user will be getting additional access on this. Okay, now. So this is how we are going to be creating the permission sets, and then we can assign the permission sets to the users. Now, this is how we are going to be granting the permissions to the users by using these permission sets. Okay, this is the concept of permission sets in Salesforce. Next, the last feature, grant access using hierarchy. Grant access using hierarchy.
Sir, is it possible to add multiple persons at a time the permission set?
No. We have to assign this permission set to each and every user separately. We have to go to each user. We have to grant the permission sets.
Okay.
In this case, the last feature is grant access using hierarchies. What do you mean by this grant access using hierarchies in Salesforce? Grant access using hierarchies in the sense what? Generally, that already you know the role hierarchy concept. Role hierarchy concept. For example, I'm having a sales manager. Under this sales manager, okay, 3 users are working. Nothing but 3 members are working. Okay. Now, let's have some representative 1, sales rep 1, sales rep 2, and the sales rep 3. These are the 3 users are available under this sales manager. Okay. Now, generally, what will happen? These are the hierarchy. So these are the subordinates, and this is the manager. So as part of role hierarchy, what is the functionality? Whenever a subordinate creates a record, okay, whenever a subordinate creates a record, that record will be getting visible to the manager automatically by default. Whenever a subordinate creates a record, the record will be getting visible to the manager by default automatically. But sometimes you can raise a question. In the interview point of view, they will raise a question. Whenever I'm creating the record inside this object as a sales rep 2, that record should not be visible to even my manager also. Even though if I'm giving very low level of affordability like as private will make my record will visible to the manager also. Only owner and the manager will be having that access. But now my requirement is whenever I'm creating a record as a sales rep 2, this my record should not be visible to even my manager also. That should be visible only to me. The record should be visible only to me. My record should not be visible to even my manager also. Then how can we do this? How can we restrict? Then what we can do in this case, we have a feature called as grant access using hierarchies. Okay, grant access using hierarchies. That facility is available here. By using this option, we can able to restrict the permissions that we can prevent the visibility of our records to even our managers also. That possibility is available. Then how can we do that here? Where is this grant access using hierarchies option is available? This is available along with inside the OWD. When you go to the OWD option, there you will be having the option called as grant access using hierarchies. Then how can we restrict this one here? Now let's see. Just go to that OWD option, that is go to that security controls, sharing settings. Here you will be having an option called as grant access using hierarchy. There is a column called as grant access using hierarchies column. So this is the column is available. Grant access using hierarchies. Now, if I'm unselecting this checkbox, then automatically record will be restricted. If I'm creating the record will be visible only to me. It will not be visible to even my manager also. So for that one, we can able to unselect this. Now let's see what will happen. Click on edit button. Let's see for what objects we can able to unselect this. Now, so these are some standard objects. Now, can you unselect this one? No, these are in the read-only state. We can't unselect. When you come down, you will be having some objects are available, like as hiring manager. patient, and the position, customer. For this object, these objects are what? Custom objects. These are the custom objects. For the custom objects, we can unselect this. For the standard objects, we can't unselect. So whenever I'm restricting the permissions to my managers, okay, these permissions can be restricted only for the custom objects. So whenever I'm creating a record inside this any one of this custom object, that record will be visible only to me. My record should not be visible even to my manager also. Okay. So this is how. For the standard objects, we can't restrict that. For the custom objects, we can restrict this possibilities also. Okay. That facility is available over here. So in this case, grant access using hierarchies option is used to restrict the record visibility from your manager also. This can be implemented. This can be implemented for the custom objects, not for standard object. Okay, whatever the records you have created inside the standard object, that records will be visible to your manager automatically by default. But for the custom objects, this option can be applicable. For the standard object, this is not applicable. Okay, these are the various of features are available as part of your security concepts. Okay, now let's come to a common question in every interview.
Sir, can you please navigate once again from where you have changed those settings from our custom object?
OWD. Just to go to that, security controls, sharing settings. In the sharing settings, you will be having the option called as OWD. Just click on edit button, and then you can able to make the changes over here. That's it. Along with the OWD, you are having this option also.
Okay,
along with the OWD, you will be having this option also. Now, the next one. Now let's see the conclusion part. As of now, we have discussed the security features since almost some 10 to 12 sessions. Since from 10 to 12 sessions, we keep on discussing about the concept of securities. Now, suppose for example today, if anybody asks the question in the interview point of view, could you please explain the Salesforce security model, then what we can explain? Do I need to explain all the 80 features one by one, one by one, one by one? No. That is not required. We no need to explain all these features one by one, one by one, one by one. Just we can give the brief, the high level. Then how can we explain over here? Now, let me tell you. Now, let me explain the Salesforce security model over here. Then how can we explain the Salesforce security model? Now let's see. Basically, Salesforce security has been divided into 5 levels. Okay. Basically, Salesforce security has been divided into 5 levels. First one, system level security. System level security. System level security. And then you will be having the application level security. Application level security. Application level security. And then we are having object level security. Object level security. And the field level security. Field level security. And then record level security. This is the 5 levels of security. Then simply we can explain Salesforce has provided the security can be applicable for our organization in 5 levels. Salesforce security can be applicable at 5 levels. The first one will be the system level security. Second one, application level security. Third one, object level. Fourth one, field level. Fifth one, record level security. Then once you have explained this one, then they will ask you, then tell me how to achieve each and every level. System level security can be achieved with the help of what? Login IP ranges. That means who can log in into my Salesforce application. And then when they can log in into that, login hours. And then SSO, single sign-on. Single sign-on feature. These are the 3 features through which we can able to indicate which users can log in into my organization. When they can log in, everything we can able to indicate system level. That means my Salesforce organization level. In my organization, I'm having so many applications are available. Sales application, service, marketing, content, charter, my custom application, so many things are available. Then what applications the user can access? How can we decide? So whatever the applications are available and the applications I would like to grant the permission, then how by using that profiles and then permission sets. So application level security can be granted through profiles and permission set. Inside the profile level, we can indicate what applications this user can access. Inside the permission sets also we can do that. What application the user can access, we can grant through permission sets also. Next, object level. So now which objects the user can access? Okay, which objects the user can access? How can we decide that? So for that one, we are using this profile level permissions and then permission sets also we can able to use. So object level permissions can be granted through profile and the permission sets. And which fields the user can access? How can we grant the field level permissions by using profile? Inside the profile level, we can grant which fields the user can access, and through permission sets also we can able to grant these permissions. And then record level security can be granted through what? With the help of role hierarchy, and then we can grant the permissions through manual sharing, manual sharing, manual sharing, and the sharing rules. And the sharing rules, and the Apex sharing. Manual sharing and the Apex sharing. These are the various of features are available over here. Record level security can be done through with the help of role hierarchy, manual sharing, automated sharing, that is sharing rules, and then Apex sharing also. Okay, by using these features, we can able to grant the permissions. Then they will ask you the question, what is the difference between profile and permission set? Then you can explain that. If they ask what is the difference between profile and permission set, then you can explain. Sometimes they will ask a question, what is manual sharing, what is the sharing rules? Then you have to explain each and every features one by one, one by one. So whenever if they ask the question in the entry point of view, please explain the Salesforce security model. It's a common question also. Please explain the Salesforce security feature. Then you have to explain Salesforce has given the feature to grant the permissions on the features at 5 levels. One is system level, second one application level, third one object level, fourth one field level, fifth one record level. This is the hierarchy. Then system level permissions can be granted through login IP ranges, login hours, and SSO. Application level security can be granted through profiles and permission sets. That means what applications user can access through profiles and permission sets we can decide. Object level permissions also we can grant through profiles and permission sets. Field level permissions also we can grant through profiles and permission sets. Record level permissions we can grant through role hierarchy, manual sharing, sharing rules, and Apache sharing. This is the whole security model feature inside your Salesforce instance. So this is the concept of Salesforce security feature. Okay. Next. In the next session, we'll see a new topic over there. In the next session, we'll see a new topic over there. Okay, next session will be on tomorrow. We have the session as usual, because with this one security part is over. So do the practice of the security part. If you're having any questions, then let me know by tomorrow, or through email notifications also you can send your questions also to me. Because security part is one of the major part in Salesforce. Okay. Yeah.